Bill Simmon is next on our agenda. He's our guest speaker. And speaking of the thank yous, the last thank you you'll hear from me tonight is to Bill. Bill has been on the board now 5 years, 11 months, and 29 days, I believe. Bill is a staff member here at VCAM. He's also been in charge of our programming committee, the chair of the committee, which has all the rock'em sock'em fun here. The committees also meet many times outside of this meeting, so they do extra work. Bill has always been the go-to guy with the institutional knowledge for me personally, actually, about what goes on. If Rob doesn't know it, Bill certainly does. And he just, I know, has a love of media and television. And I'd like to thank him for being here. And he's not going anywhere. He still works here, but he's been no longer on the board after today. So next up, Bill Simmon.
Yes, hello. Thank you for that. So I have a few comments. Rob asked me the other day to talk for a few minutes about, I don't know, like about VCAM and my experience here and things that I like about this place. And I've been thinking a little bit about what's so cool about VCAM, and part of it is what's so cool about America. And I know that sounds kind of grandiose or whatever, but when you think about other countries and the sort of cool things about other, like when I think of Canada, I think about their healthcare system and how anyone can go to the hospital and get health care. When I think about the Netherlands, I think about their marijuana laws and how like progressive they are. When you think about the United States, I think about free speech, which in those countries I just mentioned, free speech is not as sanctified as it is in the United States. And I think we're very, very lucky to live in a country that has as one of its founding principles the idea that we can assemble and speak out against the government or really about anything that we want to. And public access TV, I think, in many ways is the perfect crystallization of that ideal. And VCAM has certainly, as an organization, has really embraced that as being central to what we do here. And so that's sort of the central thing that I really love about this joint. I first heard about Channel 15 in 1987. My friend Greg was doing a TV show here called Blue Plate Special with his friend Matt. And I remember, I wasn't part of that endeavor, but we all gathered at my house to watch the first episode of it. And it was just awful. Not that the show was awful, but there was some technological problem with the 3/4-inch tape, like there was a Genlock issue or like something where it was all the cuts weren't synced and it was just a big fuzzy mess. And I had a sense as I watched that about how difficult television production is. Well, it's not like that anymore. Like those kinds of technical problems don't happen anymore because of basic fundamental technological advances we've had. Like Channel 15 or public access in general, was invented so that we could sort of spread the democratization of media out so that everyone could become a television producer and have access to this medium that really was only accessible accessed by corporate powers, people who had money to get on network television or on mainstream commercial television. And our mission, we're almost, but not quite obsolete because the tools that are needed to create media and to publish media are so widely available now to most people. There is still a sort of an economic threshold below which it's hard. Like, if you can't afford, a $2,000 computer, and if you can't afford a $1,000, camcorder, and you can't afford broadband internet access, then you may still be below a fundamental threshold of access to that gear. And for those people, I think community technology centers and public access centers are still really, really vital because it offers that free service, free access to those things. But that's changing. The world of democracy, media democracy has really opened up in my time in public access. And even though ultimately maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years down the road, it's going to mean that I'm not going to have a job anymore, at least not this. I think, or my job will be very, very different. That's only a good thing. I mean, that people have access, that people are going to have, it's going to be as easy for people to produce video content as it is for people to produce written content. I think that's a good goal to have. And just as with writing, the skill that you have as a communicator in the written language, that's important. And likewise, the skill in video content is also going to be important in terms of honing your message and making it clear. Anyway, so and then lastly, I'll just say that as Channel 15 as VCAM moves into the future, and there is this sort of I don't want to say it's a dark cloud because it's a bright future that where media is available to everybody and this technology is available to everybody, and you won't necessarily need VCAM to produce your video content and get it seen by people. And the web has something to do with that, but there's this really interesting fundamental distinction between distributing your content online and distributing your content on local television. If I make a video blog or something like that and I have my show and it's posted online and anyone in the world can look at it and download it and see what I'm saying, that's great and that's really cool, but I'm missing a lot of people who have television who maybe don't spend a lot of time online, and people who have their shows on Channel 15 get seen by their neighbors, by people in Burlington and South Burlington and Essex Junction and Essex Center and Williston and Winooski and Shelburne and Charlotte and Heinsberg and Ferrisburg and Virgins and parts of Colchester and St. George. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you. And that's really neat because if I do a show on Channel 15, I've done shows on Channel 15, and I experience this, and I'm sure producers who are watching have experienced this too, where you'll be walking down Church Street or you'll be at a restaurant somewhere and somebody will say, hey, you do that show, and I like what you said, or I liked this thing that you did, or, and I also produce content online, and that almost never happens with the content that I produce online, because the people who are seeing the stuff that I do online don't live around here. And maybe, particularly if I'm talking about a local issue or something like that, then those people watching in California or in the Netherlands or in Japan aren't going to care, about the mayor's race in Burlington or about, whatever, fluoride, in the water. So that is the real strength of local access TV that the internet will never replace. And so that's everything I have to say. Thanks.